Hi, welcome to Yoga Download and the Life Force Project channel. I'm Sibyl Buck, and I'm here to lead you through a sequence to help with tension in the shoulders, the neck, and even the upper back, and sometimes headaches. First, we need a good, solid position that you feel comfortable in. If your knees reach the floor in a cross-legged position, that could be good. But if you find your knees are floating, you'll want to put something, maybe blocks or blankets, under your knees. Because it's important that you have that tripod support and you're not just balancing yourself on your sit bones. For some of us with hip degeneration, this cross-legged position isn't appropriate. So you can come into Virasana on the knees, either with a bolster between the ankles, or a bolster plus a block, or anything else you have around, a phone book that fits between the ankles and lets you sit comfortably on your sit bones. This is better for me, so I'll stay here. Then just notice where your sit bones are, and that's the bones that you sit on. And you can really feel that if you tilt your pelvis a little forward and back. You can find where you go in front of the sit bones, and then as you shift your weight back, that you lift up on top of the sit bones, and if you keep going back, that you'll fall behind them, and that's where your back is rounded. You'd like to be right up on top, not rounded and not in front where you're arched. So find that hip neutral position as best you can. And then when you exhale, feel it's like you're growing a root down from your spine into the earth, through the floor that's under you. And feel the cool earth that's under the floor as you connect in with your energetic roots of gravity. And once you have that strong connection downward, find your inhale that lets you lift up through the top of your head, picking your rib cage up off of your hips by using the muscles in your waist to lift you. Then one important thing we'll look at is the rotation of your shoulder girdle. If your shoulders are rolled forward, and I'll turn sideways to show that. If the shoulders roll forward, it's likely the head is carried forward, the chest is caved, and it's impossible for the neck to have its natural curve. And this causes a lot of neck problems. The other thing is that for every inch that your head is forward of vertically above your spine, every inch makes your head 10 pounds heavier for the muscles that hold it up. That's a big deal. Your head is already as heavy as a bowling ball, and then 10 pounds more, so by the time you're here, your head is a 50-pound bowling ball. Of course it hurts down the back of the neck and across the shoulders. But if this has been your posture for quite some time, you can't just bring your head back, or you get this really uncomfortable double chin position. So lift your palms, face them toward the ceiling, and hug your upper arms in as if you're holding a piece of paper between your upper arms and your body. Breathe in here, and when you breathe out, bring your thumbs back. And as you bring your thumbs back, you're using teres minor, which connects your outer arm to your shoulder blades, and that helps you open the collarbones, widening the chest, and also lifting the whole shoulder girdle up and over your shoulders and down your back a little bit. And you can see how even if my head was forward before, from this position, bringing it back doesn't congest the neck. You could do it again, breathing in, bring the hands forward. And when you breathe out, bring the thumbs back. Now, one thing that might happen is you may feel you should thrust your rib cage forward. Avoid overarching the back by tucking the bottom of your breastbone toward your pubic bone. So even though you're lifting the top of the breastbone, this top section lifts up toward the throat, you're drawing down right in those bottom few ribs before your solar plexus. Once you feel you've established this, and you'll know you're using teres minor because there's a subtle pinching sensation right at the edge of the shoulder blades, then just let your arms come down and feel how you can maintain that sense of openness across the top of the chest and keep your head from tipping forward too much. That's an important place to start before we do any kind of spinal manipulation, because you want to just make sure you're neutral and in the safest place possible. From here, bring your right hand down and start to slowly raise up the left arm. But rather than forcefully lifting, imagine that if you're patient, there's a gentle force that will help you lift. You're just letting it help you. And as you lift the pinky side of the hand a little more than the thumb, and that will prevent you from hurting the shoulder joint. Once your arm is up, press down into the left sit bone and reach up with the left hand and lean over to the right. Make sure your head isn't hanging forward now, pressing back with the back of the head. Again, lifting the top of the sternum, but keeping the bottom sternum down. That's your breastbone. Last big breath in here, make a giant C shape with that whole left side of the rib cage. And then come back to center. And as you float your left arm down, let that same gentle force help you lift the right arm. You also might want something under your left hand. That's fine to use some support there. Once the right arm is up, press the right sit bone down so you feel vertically long first, and then lean over to the left. And keep rooting down both with your right sit bone and with the bottom of the breastbone, even as you lift up with the right pinky and the top of the breastbone. Nice big final breath in, opening that whole right side rib cage. And then come back to center. Side stretching is invigorating, gets all the circulation going, and it's a great foundation for this practice. Then bring your arms out to the sides and reach through the fingertips. You may feel resistance in your arms here, and that's great. That's what we're looking for. A little bit of lift in the pinkies, thumbs drop down behind you. Make sure you didn't go into a default position with the pelvis arching or rounding, but you're right on top of the sit bones, lifting tall. And if you have no feeling of resistance in the arms, then bend your elbows a little and flip the palms out. And once you have that, make sure the shoulders come down your back, away from the ears, and press outward. We store a lot of tension in the upper arms, and I'm sure you can feel that now. Have a few breaths there where you breathe from the base of the spine up to your heart on the breath in, and you breathe out through your palms or your fingertips on the breath out. Last two. Last one. And then take your right arm behind your back and bring your left arm up and over your head and just cradle your head. Your right shoulder blade, which you can kind of feel just behind the arch of your shoulder, the ridge of your shoulder, moves down your back as you draw your head over to the left. Breathe into wherever you feel the resistance on the side of the neck. And then take your hand to the back of the head and draw your nose toward your left armpit. Still, you're dropping the right shoulder blade as you cradle the back of the head and draw your head a little forward and then down. As you bring the head up, use your left knuckles to draw your jaw over to the left. Try to let this right shoulder relax down and back rather than having it chase your left shoulder and head. Remember to have a deep breath when you're in the pose. And then back to center. Have a breath in to neutralize, and then bring your left arm behind you and your right arm up and over your head, cradling the head between the forearm and bicep, or maybe between the hand and the forearm, the hand and the bicep. Drawing the head over to the right as you drop your left shoulder blade and breathe into the resistance you find. More than anything else, that's important. Breathing when you find your spot of resistance is your healing. Then you can take the hand behind the head and draw your nose toward the right armpit. And again, you might make micro movements, a little forward and down, or wherever you feel that really sweet spot of stretch. And at that point, breathe in. And then as you bring your head up, bring your right knuckles to the jaw and gently draw your head over to the right. Breathe in and out. Then when you come back to center, have a breath in the middle to neutralize. And instead of drawing your chin toward your breastbone, we'll draw the chin toward the throat. So you keep the back of the neck tall and just tuck the chin in a little toward the throat. But we'll start by having an exhale. So neutral in the middle, have a breath in. Breathe all the breath out. Hold the breath out, and then tuck your chin toward your throat. At the same time, if you know how to engage the pelvic floor, you can do that. And if you know Uddiyana Bandha, you could do that for the Mahabandha. When you need to breathe in, release the diaphragms and lift your head. And again, have a breath in neutral. At this point, take your hands forward a little so you're leaning forward. If you're in a cross-legged position, you can either use your hands on your knees or you could use blocks in front of your shins. Then on the inhale, round your back and tuck your chin toward the throat. And when you exhale, bring your heart forward. It might seem opposite at first, but stick with it. Inhale, tuck the chin toward the throat, rounding the back. And when you exhale, bring the heart forward and up. 2 more times. Breathe in, rounding the back as much as you can, chin toward the throat. And then exhaling, heart forward and up. And the last one, breathe in, opening the back. And exhale, heart forward and up. And this time, stay here, heart forward and up as you breathe in. And this time, exhale when you round the back. And stay here, contracting the pelvic floor until you breathe in, at which point you'll take your heart around to the right and forward. And when you breathe out, around to the left and back for Sufi Grind. You're taking the heart in a circle rather than your belly button and rather than your head. Everything aside from your heart is doing its best to stay in the central axis. It's just a great big orbit with your heart. Make sure you're breathing in as the heart comes forward, and you're breathing out as the heart goes back. And it's a great place to find the pelvic floor when you're leaning back. As you breathe in, you can soften the pelvic floor. And you might change directions once, just going in the opposite direction. Or you might find a sweet spot where you feel inclined to go back and forth over a short trajectory, just a little forward and back through that sweet spot. Make sure you're breathing if you do that. And finishing up, evening out in whatever way feels even for your body. Since you're not a symmetrical being, you don't have to finish symmetrically. But when you're done, come back to neutral and have a breath in. And a breath out. From here, especially if you've been in Virasana, you'll want to lengthen out the legs a little bit. Come forward, stretch back through the feet. And then we'll finish up coming down onto your back. Take a blanket with you, because one of the main ways that we can help create comfort and ease in the neck is by providing a little bit of traction. This can be done going upside down, hanging, and if you have that opportunity, that's a great way to do it. Or if you make a little roll that fills in the cervical neck spine curve, and you drape your neck over it, you can have a similar effect of traction. You might like something under the knees, or something under the calves, or both. And when you lie down, you may adjust that roll, making it bigger or smaller, depending on your neck. If you find your chin is up and your forehead is down, then that's too much. So you can undo that a bit until you find just the right amount that keeps your face parallel with the floor. And then you might stretch back a little bit and scoop the tailbone forward a little bit. And resting for as long as you feel comfortable with that support in the cervical spine will help. You can also sleep with a neck pillow, and in my own practice, that's the thing that's helped me the most with healing my neck pain. I hope that this practice has been useful for you and that you find great relief and comfort and ease in your body. And I wish you the brightest day and this new season of your life to be as you hope in your brightest dreams. Namaste.